welcome to Drewskie.Drift. This is episode 1 of my vlog coming straight out of my garage. I would like to keep this section of my YouTube as genuine as possible. I just want to kind of be myself and let other people see that, and hopefully you like it and keep watching, and if you don't, then oh well. Appreciate you clicking the link anyways. Today I'm just kind of show you guys around, maybe show you some of the cars that I have in my garage right now behind me. Obviously the R32, which is probably the reason you've clicked on this link. I've got a C6 Corvette as well that I picked up recently. We're gonna start getting some stuff done to that and see how she handles. Obviously a much different platform from what I'm used to, but I have driven big V8s in the past, so it shouldn't take too long. Even right-hand drive, left-hand drive is not that big of a deal. It takes a little bit of time to get used to going back and forth. Other than that, today I might do some wiring, some stuff with the lights I'm in the middle of. I've got a differential over here that I need to finish up, but other than that, we'll keep it kind of short and sweet and aesthetically pleasing with the videos. I hope you guys like the slow-mos in the beginning. I've got some awesome drone footage that was given to me by a couple of flyers. I'll tag them at the end. And a whole lot of other people at OSW that were driving really awesome at Super Saturday, which is the last event we did. Spring Break Bash is next. That is going to be a 3-day event with camping. There's a lot of people that show up to that event, and it is one of the most fun events of the year, aside from Black Friday. So I'm really excited to be there. I'm actually going to try and bring both cars if I can, so that I can get a lot of practice on the Vette and then show up for the crowd pleaser R32 over here, which is, it's really dialed in right now. I'm really loving the way this thing is driving. So I'll cut away and show you guys some close-ups of the cars, and then we'll do some more work in the garage, and I'll tag all that in the video so you can click on the timeline and speed forward through any of this. Well, my garage is a mess, but I really wanted to update you guys on everything that I'm going to do in the next week before I actually start everything, just so I can have an overview of everything for this video. Started working on the diff down here, which you can see there, and then I've got to really clean up the Skyline here. Got some oil that's spitting out of the catch can because I put some new rocker covers on there, and the catch can is getting a ton of blow-by and it's just spitting out everywhere. So got to clean that up interior in the engine bay, and then get some of the interior cleaned as well, just not as clean as I like to keep it. I know it looks super awesome and everything if you haven't seen this before, but there's just a whole lot of mess in here that is not how I usually like to keep my stuff. You'll notice over here too that we've got a C6 Corvette sitting here. Got a really good deal on a salvage one on Marketplace. Drove all the way to Georgia to pick it up with the trailer, and it is awesome. Had some front end damage, which I'm gonna check out now. Get down to that. That's the first thing I'm doing today. As you can see here, there was some front end damage, and he put a new hood, new bumper and everything on there. But as I got underneath, which I can't really show you right now, I noticed there were some bent brackets and such under here that you can see clearly there was some damage going on. So I really got to get under there and see what was wrong before I go out and drift it. Make sure that it is safe to go out on the track. I don't want to cause a hold up or risk, you know, my own safety. So we're going to do a full overview of that, and I've got some other parts on the way from FDF as well. So huge shout out to them. They make some awesome products, and I am excited to get it put on that car and make a lot more power than I'm used to. We got Stan here, shop dog. He doesn't like the loud noises, but he'll come out here for some other stuff. I'm gonna do a radio today as well in the Corvette, so it's not as old school looking. This was a base model, so it's an LS2. I know the Z06s had an LS7, which is what everyone really wants, but LS2 is solid. This one's got some headers on it, real loud, real nice sound. So after taking the headlights out, it gave me a lot more space to actually look underneath the car since I don't have a lift right now in this garage. I will be in the future when I have our new house, which is currently being built and pretty close to being done. I'll have a lift right at home, which is going to be really convenient. But as you can see, the bracket here is all kind of twisted and jumbled up, and you can see the crack down here from whatever impact that occurred. But overall, everything else is okay. The structure of all the suspension components are good. The knuckle on here is actually an upgrade from, I think it's Vette nuts, which is, it's a moderate angle kit. It's a new front knuckle, so we'll get an FDF kit and get some serious angle on this thing. But the subframe and all the steering components otherwise look fine. So either the impact wasn't that bad, or he replaced a lot of things. And all of this was probably done before any sort of impact that occurred because he had the angle mods on there. So they need that clearance. Plus it's on BCs, which is really nice. Adjustable coilovers. I love BCs. I run them in every car I have, even the Skyline right here. Probably had clearance issues with that. Took the wheel well out and made this to accommodate the headlights, which didn't have the structure that they previously had from OEM. Which is, it's good. It's a neat idea. It's just needs to be fixed up now that it's been broken. Overall, this is pretty cool. This is pretty nice here. This is pretty sturdy. Obviously held up to an impact all right. So I'll probably just patch that up. I just installed some C8 style lights for the C6 here. So these are LED sequential lights, a lot nicer than the factory ones from this year, which I think are complete and total garbage. But also at the same time, this car was a rebuilt title. Well, it's a salvage title right now, but it had a lot of damage on this side that really had some pretty intense stuff going on. This whole bracket was bent. The steering rack was replaced. I'm sure there was a bunch of other stuff I wasn't told, but that's okay. It still runs great, and we'll get it going, dialed in once I start driving it. But this wiring harness here that came with it was split up and rewired, and a whole bunch of stuff was done to it. It didn't have the factory connections or anything. So what I ended up having to do is buying this $50 harness online. I found it on eBay, and I just cut a portion out of it, put the factory headlight harness back in, just wired it up so I could just plug and play and take these lights out if I ever need to. But as you can see, the fender liner is gone, so there's not many places for me to put this and keep it nice and safe and away from all the dirt and debris. So I got to figure something out there. But other than that, the Corvette is pretty much done for now until I can test it out. The other thing is this bumper that it came with, which was zip tied in every location. All of the corners here are all broken and bent, and I have the pieces that were zip tied, but obviously they were just kind of all broken. So I've got some plastic weld here, JB weld. This stuff's awesome. We're gonna mix that up and put this back on so it actually looks like a factory bumper and mounts properly on both sides. For the Skyline, I'm actually going to do something at the same time with this plastic weld, JB weld. As you can see, I've got the lights all taken apart right now. These things are probably the worst headlights, taillights rather, to take apart. These are for left and rights. I have put some clear lenses in there, and I've got the covers kind of mocked up so you guys can see what it's going to look like at the end. But I've got some LED ZLEDs, which if you aren't familiar, really nice LED lights. Take this off here so you can see it. These were red before, by the way, so this is going to look a lot cleaner with this paint. I think the clear next to this just looks way nicer. So these ZLEDs are going to be a lot more efficient, a lot brighter. Obviously, they have little panels, so we're going to glue them in place. And then once we turn them over, we're going to wire them, and we are going to see how they look afterwards. They're going to be somewhat sequential, just kind of brighter, cleaner look. I don't know if I'm going to mount them to the back or to the lens. They say for a clearer
design, they want you to mount them directly to the lens, but I feel that with the clears, if I mount them directly to the lens, you're just going to see each individual LED, and I kind of want it to look more like a full ring, so I might mount them back recessed a little bit like they are now. But we'll see. I might plug them in and wire them and try them out before I glue them. I haven't really decided yet. I've got these mocked up here. These are the OEM panels. As you can see, I've got some heat tape on here, and that heat tape is, I put that on there because these apparently get really hot. These are little 50-watt converters, whatever you want to call them. I don't really know, but apparently they just get really hot. So I put some heat tape back here so they don't melt the plastic or anything, because these are, you know, these are from the 90s still. So what, 30 years old, something like that. Yeah, so we'll get that going, show you guys the whole process, and see how it looks after. Alright guys, so basically what I'm doing here is using a heat gun to melt the glue. I call it glue, but I think it's called butyl, which is just like a 90s way of making watertight seals that are just impossible to get off, actually. You're supposed to take your headlights off and bake them in the oven at a certain low temperature for 5-10 minutes, something like that. But with the age of this, it's just kind of like, who knows how long you're supposed to do it. So I just use a heat gun until it gets kind of melty and pliable, and then take the old lenses out, which is what I've done already and didn't show you guys, sorry about that. But the new ones, I'm actually just reusing the same stuff in here, which is, it's tightly packed in there, there's plenty of material in there, so I don't need to buy new stuff or use glue or anything like that. As you can see with this one, which I've already done, it just kind of all melted into place, and I just squished it down and it just resealed itself and seated nice and flush. It's just going to work well and reseal it, no problem. The other case though is the back of these. When it goes to the actual car, these have just years and years and years of weathering up top. So I don't think I'm going to reuse this. This lens is not too bad because I can actually kind of pull it up and use the underside that hasn't been touched by all this dirt. But this just won't work, this stuff that's covered in paint and gunk. So I'll probably buy some new stuff there and use some mineral oil, alcohol, something to get this off. It is still really, really sticky. Like, I touch it and I can't get it off my fingers. So I might try it. I don't know. I'm also pretty lazy, so we'll see how that goes. This is that butyl stuff that we were talking about. It's kind of all over the place right now, so we're just going to kind of muck this up before I wire anything in and just see how it looks. Pretty clean. So we got our diff popped open. We just needed to take the cover off with the 14mm bolts. And we're gonna change out the gears in here. As you see, this one we got is not welded yet. I run an LSD in the Skyline right now. And these gears all look pretty fresh actually. The LSD it's a different type of drifting. I like it, but I'm gonna try out some welded diff stuff instead of some 350Z axles from Villains. We've got these conversion kits. What you do is you send in your R200 diff splines and they weld on a 350Z bolt pattern 6-bolt adapter plate. It's a lot stronger. You should be able to get some OEM 350Z axles and it'll be good for 350 to 400 horsepower as opposed to the old 90s S13 style that's in there right now. So what we'll do is we'll take out all the bearings and start getting these gears taken apart. And then what we've got is a 4.9 ratio out of a Nissan Xterra, I believe it is. It's a really high ratio, but with the transmission that's in the R32, specifically on the GTSTs, the RB20 tranny, it calculates a much higher rate for the gears in order to be able to drift in third gear, which is my issue right now. I get in third and I just lose all the power. It's not enough for it. So we'll start taking it apart and then we'll update it later. Cooler to the bottom of it if you want. Just off to get it welded. And then it's done. All done. Then we'll throw it in the car. Probably be a different episode for that, just because I gotta take time to go get it welded, but once we get this diff in there, then we'll be third gear drifting, perfect wheel speed. It's gonna be around 80-mile-an-hour wheel speed, which for the skid pad that we're usually using the Skyline on is the perfect amount. Okay, so I wanted to update you guys. I actually did end up wiring the lights in real quick just to, before I mounted them, just to show you guys that they did work, because I don't like to leave it unfinished. My daughter decided to help me. Anyways, I wanted to show you the lights working, finish up the video. Here we go. Love the way these turned out. Battery is dying, however, so you can see they're dimming down. Got it hooked up to a jump pack right now, so just gotta turn that back on. There we go. Very cool. Love these lights. And they do have animation strobe effect when you tap the brakes, which I'll show you guys in the next video if you want to see more of it. But this is awesome. Looks really good with the paint color. It's going to look really good for night shots. If you've made it to the end of this video, I sincerely appreciate you. This is my first vlog video. I usually just do some quick clips of us drifting and maybe some pictures on Instagram. So the fact that you're making this happen for me, I really appreciate that. Being a small beginner account, every single view, like, follow, and subscribe is a lot more impactful to me than the other mainstream big YouTubers. So please do consider subscribing to me. I will be pumping out more content. I do plan on doing some higher quality videos and actually trying to get this going every couple weeks, every week if it gets that big. I do a lot of fun stuff. I do have a lot of projects going on at the same time, so it could be a little crazy sometimes. It could be drifting at Orlando Speed World or anywhere else I'd like to travel around. I've got the Corvette, obviously, and I've got another project going that's not here right now, so hopefully some competitions in the future. So please consider subscribing. I appreciate you watching to the end, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you.